What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Keith one-time Thurman. 30 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 22 wins by way of knockout. Keith Thurman is 33 years of age, 5'8", with a 69-inch arm reach. With that said, Keith Thurman, he did another sit down. Looks like Keith Thurman is revving up to make a comeback, to get back in the ring. The last time we saw Keith Thurman in the ring was February 5th of this year, when he took on defeated former WBA super lightweight, junior welterweight, Mexican star title contender in Mario Barrios, in which he got a unanimous decision victory over Mario Barrios. He didn't look that impressive in the victory, but he got the victory after ending a nearly 3.5-year layoff. He was out the ring since 2019, July of 2019, when he lost to legendary 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao via majority decision to lose his WBA title. He had previously lost the WBC title due to inactivity, after unifying the belts against 2-division world champion Puerto Rican superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia March of 2017. With that said, Keith Thurman is revving up to make another ring appearance, and Keith Thurman, he understands that the biggest fight in the sport of boxing has all the belts tied up, and that's the undisputed welterweight showdown between undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is 38 wins, no loss and no draw, 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 34 years of age. He'll be 35 in 3 weeks, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. With that said, he versus undefeated, unified 3-belt WBC, WBA, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 2, if not the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Earl the True Spence Jr., who is 28 wins, no loss and no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout. He is 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. That makes for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. It looks like we could be headed to a November 19th showdown between the two in Las Vegas, Nevada. But all the belts are tied up, obviously, between the two. So Keith Thurman, he stated that he is the biggest name that's not a world champion, and all these young fighters have to understand that, he is vying for an opportunity to get a title once again, just like they want their first title opportunity. But everybody focuses on him because he's the next biggest thing next to those world champions. So he understands that. And then he said both of these guys are very big punchers. That's undefeated Mexican superstar welterweight title contender Vergil Ortiz Jr., who is 19 wins, no losses, no draw, 19 wins by way of knockout. He is 24 years of age, or 25 years of age, 5'10" with a 70-inch arm reach, and undefeated welterweight superstar title contender Jaron Ennis, who is now 29 wins, no losses, no draw, 27 big wins by way of knockout. He is 25 years of age, 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. So he said that Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz are both very, very big punchers. But he respects Jaron Ennis's game more than Vergil Ortiz because he's more versatile, right? And then he says that Jaron Ennis reminds him a lot more of Terence Crawford, but he respects Jaron Ennis even more than Terence Crawford because he says that Jaron Ennis is a natural big welterweight and he has more power than Terence Crawford. So he respects Jaron Ennis's skill set and game even more so than that of Terence Crawford, right? And he's, he stated that Terence Crawford is a, is a smaller guy, right? Terence Crawford is, he started his career at 130, 135 a champion, 140 a champion, now 147. So naturally, Keith Thurman has always been stating that Terence Crawford is a smaller guy trying to get acclimated to the division. But Terence Crawford, today's time, is definitely grew into the division. Now he has 5 or 6 fights into the welterweight division. He defeated former WBO welterweight world champion to become the welterweight world champion in Jeff Horn. Okay, that was his first fight at welterweight. He stopped him. Then he fought Jose Benavidez Jr. and he stopped him, knocked him out in the 12th round of their fight. Then he fought Amir King Khan. He got a stoppage. That was a lackluster fight because Amir Khan quit. He felt like Terence Crawford was going to outbox him, and he was going to possibly get brutally knocked out. So he stated that Terence Crawford hit him on a low blow and he couldn't continue, right? That was, you know, disrespectful on the part of Amir Khan to the sport of boxing, in my opinion. But then he fought Igis Kavalauskas, the Mean Machine, and he got a knockout stoppage victory over him. Then he fought Special K Kell Brook, okay, former IBF welterweight world champion, British superstar boxer. He knocked him out in the 4th round. Then he fought most recently his last fight against 2-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who's retired future Hall of Famer in Showtime, Sean Porter, okay? And he got a 10th round stoppage over Sean Porter. So he has physically, in my opinion, grown into the division, right? Extremely long arms, power in both hands. The comparison between Boots Ennis and Terence Crawford is always the fact that they both switch, okay? Terence Crawford switched from southpaw to orthodox. Boots switches from southpaw to orthodox. Jaron Boots Ennis does not like the comparison. He actually can't stand it. And he says that he does everything better than Terence Crawford. He's better than Terence Crawford. And Terence Crawford is truly not a switch fighter these days. Now, once upon a time, I would say when Terence Crawford was 135, when Terence Crawford was 140, he's shown more of the switching, okay? Today's time, Terence Crawford has not shown the same switch ability to be effective. Same switch effectiveness is what I'm saying, right? When he switches now from southpaw to orthodox, you know, from orthodox to southpaw, it's just simply a comfort situation, right? He's not as comfortable in the orthodox stance as he once was. He's just simply not. Once upon a time in the orthodox stance, he was as elusive and just as dominant in the orthodox stance as he was in the southpaw stance. But today's time, when you watch Terence Crawford in the orthodox stance, Terence Crawford definitely gets hit a lot more than he once did when he was in the orthodox stance, okay? Terence Crawford, you know, you can clearly see that when fighters get on the inside when he's in the orthodox stance, he's not comfortable, right? He's clearly not as comfortable in the pocket and elusive in the orthodox stance as he once was. Just plain and simple, right? And he's getting older on top of it, right? So you look at all his knockouts and stoppages and all his victories, you can clearly see they're all coming in the southpaw stance. He once switched from southpaw to orthodox to confuse his opponents. And that's not the case anymore. Now he switches from southpaw to orthodox for comfortability for himself, right? He just feels more comfortable and he feels more, you know, effective in a southpaw stance, and so that's where he dominates, in the southpaw stance. So with that said, you know, Jaron Boots Ennis doesn't like the comparison, and so Keith Thurman is saying the comparison is legit, but Boots Ennis is a naturally bigger guy, naturally stronger guy, and just has more power. So he views Jaron Boots Ennis' game more respectfully than Terence Crawford's, right? And then he goes on once again to talk about he's not a gatekeeper, so on and so forth, right? But with that said, that just shows you why Keith Thurman is not eager to just jump in the ring with Terence Crawford, right? That explains why he's just, with Jaron Boots Ennis, right? Because, you know, he knows that there's a strong possibility. Jaron Boots Ennis is about 3 inches taller than Keith Thurman. He has a 5-inch arm reach over Keith Thurman. He is 8 years younger than Keith Thurman. He's more explosive than Keith Thurman. Now, Keith Thurman is going to be banking on his ring generalship. He's going to be banking on his seasoning, right? Where he is just, you know, more experienced. That's what Keith Thurman is banking on when it comes to him and Jaron Boots Ennis, okay? Keith Thurman is not banking on his natural skill set and his athletic ability to beat Jaron Boots Ennis. Keith Thurman is banking on his ring IQ. He's banking on Jaron Boots Ennis hasn't been here. He hasn't been experienced. I get him in deep waters, you know, because then he goes in to say how Jaron Boots Ennis's level of opponents is what, you know, gives him cause for pause. Well, according to reports, now we know Showtime president of sports, Stephen Espinosa, in which Jaron Ennis and Keith Thurman are both under that banner. Okay, now Keith Thurman is with the PBC, Premier Boxing Champion, founder and advisor Al Heyman, where Jaron Ennis is exclusively signed to Showtime and Stephen Espinosa. Okay, but the fight can be made. And Stephen Espinosa, I personally asked Stephen Espinosa about the fight, and he said he would love to make the fight, and he's inquired about trying to make that fight between Boots Ennis. And sources close to the situation told me Keith Thurman was asking for $10 million to fight Jaron Boots Ennis, okay? Which means that I feel like Keith Thurman is pricing himself out, and so does Team Ennis. They feel like Keith Thurman is pricing himself out because he understands the risk of this fight. Jaron Boots Ennis does not have a world title, right? Keith Thurman understands that I lose badly to Jaron Boots Ennis, I'm going to officially become that gatekeeper. That's why Keith Thurman keeps bringing up the gatekeeper talk. That's why Keith Thurman keeps saying, you know, I'm no gatekeeper. And if I'm a gatekeeper, the gate is welded shut. Yeah, well, no, Keith Thurman, he knows I fight and lose to Jaron Ennis, I'll officially become a gatekeeper. Keith Thurman knows this, right? And so listen what he had to say.
We've seen Jaron Boots Ennis, an unbeaten fighter who seems to be close to knocking on that door of the title level. Any of these names grab your attention when you see them on the screen?
Well, the only problem is I want titles, just like they do. They want titles, but they know if they can't get a title, Keith Thurman, once again, is one of the biggest names in the welterweight division and the biggest non-title holder when it comes to pedigree. My inactivity makes people almost forget I just fought a young fighter, and if I have to fight another young fighter, so be it. Don't get it twisted. Keith Thurman is not a gatekeeper, okay? Because if I'm the gatekeeper, then that gate is welded shut, okay? I've seen some of these young men perform. A lot of them have power, which is very exciting. You know, Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis both have explosive power.
Boots Ennis seems to have that next level dynamism to him, the switching stances, the explosiveness, the unpredictability.
Crawford, I tell people he's like a Crawford Thurman because he's a true welterweight, where Crawford is not a true welterweight, right? And so I respect Boots Ennis's power, but it's who I've seen him up against, right? Lipinets being a smaller guy, 140 pounder.
Thomas Delorme, he got through quickly.
You know, he's getting through a lot of these guys quickly, but those guys aren't Keith one-time Thurman.
So you heard it right there, right? So, you know, then he goes on to say why he respects, you know, his power. You know, he respects his game more than Terence Crawford, so on and so forth, because of the power. But Keith, if Keith truly believes that, then we need to go ahead and make this fight between Keith Thurman and Jaron Boots Ennis. That would be a mega fight. But like I said, he knows should he lose to Jaron Boots Ennis, that's going to officially label him the gatekeeper. Everybody's going to be look at Keith Thurman as the litmus test. Then he knows this. Now that's all I got for y'all. I think that Keith Thurman will lose to Jaron Boots Ennis. I think Jaron Boots Ennis stops Keith Thurman. I know Keith Thurman weakness is to the body. Jaron Boots Ennis size, length, athletic ability, explosion, a ring IQ, and ability to go to the body and change levels is a nightmare for Keith Thurman. But it's a super test, and it's no pushover, no guarantee for Boots Ennis. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section, let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all in one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like the shitty videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.